1, 2, is this on? Yo, Jimmy, hit me with that Triple H. Yeah, you let the music keep playing, Mr. Dumb.
I'm the one that you wanted. Super Reay. I'm the one that you wanted. Super Reay.
For the time bomb ticking in the heads they hang. All the gangs getting money in the heads to bang bang. Wild Mustangs, the porno flicks. All my homies in the county in cell block 6. The grits when there ain't enough eggs to cook. If a DB Cooper in the money he took, you can look for answers, but that ain't fun. Now get in the bed and try to love someone.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to the most electrifying podcast in all of internet radio today. You are listening to the Sportswire. I want to thank you for tuning in here on Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network, powered by Spreaker. It's going to be a great show for you. But you know what? I just wanted to let you all know that there's a new format now for what I'm doing. That's right. A brand new format for Spreaker, for me, for Sportswire in general, in that I'm not going to do live podcasts anymore. I realize that it's kind of tough dealing with my personal schedule along with some other outside stuff and stuff that happens. I can't always stick to a Tuesday at 10 a.m. Schedule. And it was getting kind of, I guess you could say it was getting kind of unmotivating. I lost my motivation for a lot of stuff, and I'll get into that a little bit. But I figure having it drop at Tuesday at 10 a.m., having it uploaded to Spreaker at that time, to Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network, is a good thing. So that's what it's going to end up being, is that right now, from now on, going forward, I'm going to record a podcast and then let it release at 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Because you know what? That's quite honestly what I've decided. And you know what? A lot of podcasts do that. Not many that I know of go live. A lot of them just record and then drop it. So that's what it's going to be from now on, in that I'm going to do that. And you know what? It helps because, quite honestly, it's going to give me more time to research stuff and look stuff up. And I'm not going to worry about going over everything that happens in, weekly NFL games or weekly baseball or whatever. I'll go over WWE pay-per-views. I'll go over certain things that happen. And quite honestly, it's one of those things where I'll go over the special events. I'll go over the Super Bowl. I'll preview the Super Bowl. I'm not going to worry about the Pro Bowl. Nobody really cares about it. I'll still stick to, NFL and semi-pro football when I get the news coming in. Big news on that front, I'll let you know just a little bit. Possible news, I should say. Also, we have a great interview for you. It's like a 45-minute long interview. I want to introduce you to a new host. A new host here on Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network. Her name is Reay Sunshine. I sat down with her and had a great interview with her, kind of going over what her new show is going to be about. She's actually going to do 2 shows, but the first one is Real Talk with Reay, and that's going to be the main one that she's going to be working on at this point in time, and I think it's going to be fantastic. We sat down. It's a really good interview, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there and play that for you folks, and introduce you to her. It's going to be a great show. I went out, and I'll be honest with you, for another thing, I went out and I bought myself a new bar stool. What I mean by that is, when Sportswire Studios moved back in June 1st, if you remember correctly, I had to move. And I moved from one part of New Britain to another part of New Britain, got my own studio apartment down here in historic New Britain, Connecticut, and it's a nice studio apartment. It's just me, but there was no place for a desk. There was no place for a desk at all. So but there's a bar. Yeah, a bar in my basement. I could, if I wanted to stock it and have people over, I could do that. I don't. I use it for storage and my desk area. So I need, the bar stools that came with it, they're decent, but they're just not comfortable. They weren't comfortable, and they were hurting me. So I was just like, I didn't want to sit for an hour or so to do a podcast, even to record it. And yeah, I could have done it on my phone or whatever, but that just seems cheesy to me. But whatever the case is, I got myself a new bar stool today, new bar chair, a lot more comfortable, a lot better for me. And this is, I feel more comfortable just sitting here now. So that's when, I had to put some time into it. I had to put some oomph into the show, and just basically, it's one of those things where I needed it. Needed some TLC. I apologize to Sassy, who was my producer for a while. She was doing great in giving me college and NFL football news and scores, and I'm the one that fucked up, quite honestly. I'm the one that just lost my motivation and just, didn't want to sit for an hour on these, uncomfortable ass bar stools and do a podcast. I'll take some pictures, I'll throw them up, and, and let you all see what I work with and deal with. But today is Monday, December 18th. It is my sperm donor father's birthday. I mean, he was in my life. He is in my life. I just saw him today, actually. But I was always close to my grandfather, and I think I've explained that before. But today is his birthday. He was born in 1950, so he's 67 years old. And that's what it is. Got a lot of stuff going on in my life that I'll go over on my next episode. That's right, my next episode, because this episode is dedicated directly to Reay Sunshine. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that right now. So sit back, relax, listen. Reay Sunshine is going to be the newest host on Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network, and she'll be coming on very shortly. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Big Daddy Cool Vinny Apicella from the Sportswire. I'm here. I have a special interview. I want to introduce all of our millions and millions of Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network fans to Reay Sunshine. She's going to be starting a brand new advice talk show here on our network within the next few weeks or so. So I wanted to kind of introduce y'all to her because nobody's ever heard of her before, so she's a breakout talent, and so I wanted to take it upon myself to introduce you. So, Reay, how are you today?
I'm great, Vinny. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well myself, thank you. Absolutely. No, I thank you for coming on. Thank you for reaching out to me and wanting to put on an advice show for people out there. Why don't we at least start out by talking about the premise of your show?
Sure. It's a basically not basic advice show. There's a lot of taboo topics. Those topics that you don't want to have at Thanksgiving, but Aunt Phyllis brings them up anyway. There's going to be a lot of those, and there's going to be it's a predominantly female-led discussion, but it's open to absolutely everybody. We're going to talk about social media etiquette. We're going to talk about just a wide variety of things, including, what cocktails are appropriate to have at a holiday function, or, and who to invite. there's always that question when you have a Christmas party, for example. Do you invite Aunt Phyllis, who always brings up everything that you really don't want brought up, along with your boss? And when to make that decision when you can do that, because they're all year round. There are all kinds of functions and events, and where you're going to have that cross pollination of groups of people or commingling, so to speak, that you're going to have to figure out how to handle different situations. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, just things that are happening in the now in the news, like all of this mess that's coming out of Hollywood, and how do we not only process that, but how should we be allowing it to affect our day in any way, shape, or form, and try to create a positive spin on a negative situation. My goal as Reay, because Reay, obviously Reay Sunshine, it's not my real name, is to really just bring a little ray of sunshine into people's days. There's so much negativity out there in the world in regards to what we see on social media, what we see on the news. If you just look at historically speaking, comedies keep getting darker and darker and darker, and for the reason that people's sense of humor is getting darker because they see so much more negativity. I think if every day there was this one little piece of light that everybody saw, I think people would be a whole lot happier. So that's my goal, is to bring just a little bit of light every day.
I definitely agree with you on the need a certain little light, ray of sunshine in our world to kind of spread light on certain subjects that either have a negative connotation to them or they just have like bad press surrounding them all the time. I would love to team up with you for a show based around social stigmas and how certain labels or certain I don't want to say lifestyle, but a certain label or certain kind of crime, certain kind of I don't know. I'm not thinking the word right now, but definitely a show based around social stigmas and how
I definitely
those.
I would be very interested in that, because one of the things that I'm a big believer in, and as you and I have created this friendship, one thing you've learned about me, I'm sure at this point, is that I am a champion for the underdog. I have a beautiful daughter named Melody, who is 7 and has special needs. She was born with an extra chromosome. She has Down syndrome, and when she was born, the pediatrician brought her to me and didn't say congratulations or here's your new baby. He kind of dump rolled her into my arms, which shocked me, and said, "Who does she look like?" And that was probably one of the strangest predicaments I've ever found myself in. And I'm an extremely optimistic, positive person. And I looked at him like he was crazy. And I said, well, I kind of see my significant other's sister. I see his grandmother for certain. I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, she has Down syndrome. And without missing a beat, my comment to him was, well, I'm better versed with autism because I've worked with children for over 15 years. At that point, and now I've been a mom for 23, and I am a grandmother of 6. I have 6 kids and 6 grandkids on top of it now. So, but at that point, I said, I'm better versed with autism than I am with Down syndrome. Could you get me some literature? I don't believe that was what he expected my response to be. But, it brought me into a whole different thought process. Because I'm such a positive person, I thought, everyone that I know has been unemployed at some point. And I know this is kind of a strange tangent, but it definitely has to do with social stigma. It's hard to find a job when you're unemployed because mentally you don't, not all of us think, oh, we're going to get the next job we walk into the interview. But people like Mel and others like her that have a different ability. I never call it a disability, because Melody, who is fairly nonverbal, understands every flipping word that comes out of my mouth. And she'll play what we as parents in the Down syndrome world, with air quotes on it, we call it playing the DS card. She'll play that card to the hilt. She's only 7. They understand and communicate. They understand more, comprehend more than we give them credit for. And the thing is that people with Down syndrome, because they have a facial feature set that they all kind of conform to, people see them coming and they either have pity or sympathy, or, oh, they're just the happiest people on the planet. No, they're really not. If you live with them, they're just like everybody else. Just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. In fact, she's probably one of the dirtiest pranksters I've ever met in my life, and she'll definitely be a part of my show. But but the thing is that as she gets older, because now she's 7, when she was born, I immediately thought, God, what can I do to try and make things easier in a sense for her? Because people see her coming, and they have these immediate thoughts. They have these stigmas in regards to people with Down syndrome, in regards to people with different abilities, in regards to people that maybe have, a black mark on their background. Maybe it's a racial stigma. Maybe it's, there's all kinds of stereotypes and stigmas that a show could cover and discuss. It's going to have to be a fairly non-PC conversation, though, and that might be a hot trigger button for people to call in. I know with our group, with our show, we're going to keep it light and peppy and heavy, and try to at least teach somebody something every single day. But I would absolutely love to be a part of a show like that to help bring us further into the 21st century and get rid of social stigmas and things of that nature, because you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't judge somebody by their past, because they're not necessarily who they were in the past. But Melody, I always dreamt of creating a business where she would always have the opportunity to be employed, whether it was on her own or through a family business. Because
I think you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm sorry.
I definitely, I hear. That's all right. I hear your signals going in and out for like maybe the past 2 minutes, and there's parts that I couldn't hear. So if you could just repeat what you would.
Well, what I was saying was I would love to be a part of a show that dealt with social stigmas and try to erase those in regards to people who maybe have different abilities, or maybe have that are prejudged based on either the way they look or like I said, a different ability, a disability, or even like I said, a black mark, or on their record, or there's a wide variety of things, because people aren't who they were in the past. I do believe in giving people second chances. Have they proven themselves, of course, to deserve a second chance. Because there are some people that just don't make different choices. They stay in that same cycle, and they don't reach out for help. But there's a lot to be said in regards to racial stigmas and, like I said, different ability stigmas and all kinds of things. And I would love to be a part of that. I would love to be a part of something like that, something that would make a difference, a positive difference in the world. Absolutely. But it would have to be a non-PC conversation, because it's not going to be politically correct, because there's just so much to converse about.
That's fine with me. I have never been one to promote the political correctness. Everybody, if my thought process is, if you don't like what you're hearing, just change the channel. You don't
Absolutely.
have to make life hell or everything change because you are unhappy with a certain topic or a certain phrase. I've never been one to conform to society to say happy holidays. I always say Merry Christmas. And I basically have always been the one to promote non-PC living. Unfortunately, the complete opposite direction where everybody's too afraid to offend other people. I've never been one to offend other people.
I'm not afraid to offend other. I'm not afraid to offend other people, but I also believe in saying and doing the things that are right from the jump. So
right.
Whereas I and like I said, Reay Sunshine is definitely a show name. And the reason for that is because I can always guarantee that Reay is going to be positive. I can't always guarantee that I'm, my real person is going to be positive. These things happen in life, but I think that there's a difference between being politically correct and just being morally non-hurtful, not spiteful. Mm-hmm. There are things, there are things that there's just a lot of people out there doing, do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
And at the same time, they're
a lot of our politicians are like that.
I would say that probably 99% of them are. My dad always said, and that's one of the things too, is you'll find on our show, there'll be a lot of Ken Knippenisms. That's my dad.
Okay.
He always said in regards to politicians, give the guy that doesn't want the job. He said, because every guy that's in there that wants the job wants it for the wrong reason.
You're exactly right, and I've heard the same advice myself. For anybody that that wants that kind of power is the wrong person to put in power.
Absolutely. Don't get me started on the current president, because I know you don't agree with me. But
right, we have to agree to disagree on that subject.
Absolutely.
However, I will say, it kind of brings me back. I mean, just talking about politics, it reminds me of the movie with Chris Rock. I think it was called Head of State, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
I can't remember what it was called, but he was just a low level. I want to say, local municipality senator or something that whether it was Republicans or Democrats, thought he was a quote-unquote safe bet for them to put in the presidential race against the current president so the current president would win, and he ended up winning. He's somebody that didn't want the power, but actually, I don't remember the full story, whether he did good or he ended up giving up the power or whatever, but it comes down to the point of I remember it was like, somebody like that who doesn't want to run for the presidency, for complete control, complete power. That's somebody we need, because they usually have the better ideas.
Absolutely. My dad always said we should just do a drawing of eligible candidates, a random, a lottery, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
He said that
makes sense.
That would be a better way. But then I keep thinking, okay, eligible candidates, that's a really big funnel. And you would have no idea. I mean, that would definitely represent some of the people, but not all of the people. And that would definitely represent, we'd see way too much fluctuation in understanding.
As Vince McMahon would say, it's time to shake things up.
It definitely is. I think we've seen the height and the epitome of dirty DC at this point. So
now, let me ask you something. Why do you think now, and why do you think now during this time? I don't know if I should say in history, but definitely in this time in society, with all the things coming out now about women coming forward about sexual sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual misconduct. Why now is are all the women coming forward? It's like, in your opinion, obviously you're not one of the women, but with Matt Lauer, with Kevin Spacey, with
And I'm so glad you're
Roy
asking
Moore, and all of these other people from all walks of life, whether it be entertainment, news, politicians. Why now are all the women coming forward? Did it start with Bill Cosby? Or did it start prior to that, or after that, or did it start with Trump's famous "grab him by the pussy" comment? Or
here's what I think.
What?
Here's what I think, and I've put a lot of thought into this, and I think first of all, there's a lot to it historically speaking. I think it started. I think it actually started with the Clinton administration, and then and the gentleman that was wasn't he a judge, a Supreme Court? There was a Supreme Court judge that was up again with things that was accused of things back then. There's just and if you think back further than that, I mean, it was okay to do these things,
Right.
in society. When you look at like John F. Kennedy, I mean, we all know that he was a womanizer. We know these things, and it was socially acceptable.
Right.
But as I think things have evolved, you've seen the women's revolution with the burning of the bras and our right to vote. We still kept kind of quiet because we were new, right? But that generation who got the right to vote, and we were also no longer property because, and again, not wanting to piss anybody off here, but women in general were considered to be a man's property, just the same way as a slave.
Right.
So, and people.
No, you're right. I mean, even
kind
going
of
back
get
to the
that.
1800s.
Not even. I mean, legally, we had just as little of a right to say anything as an African American did, and we got our right. We got our right to vote, just like they did. The only difference is that we had a separate drinking fountain. We couldn't sit in the back of the bus. Which, what's funny when you think about it, evolution in evolutionary terms, the back of the bus became the cool place to sit. If you think about it, as kids. Yep. Everybody wanted to sit in the back of the bus.
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean? Which, it just fascinates me how things kind of change that way. But historically speaking, we had to get our rights, and then, we burned our bras, and, strength in numbers. The 70s rolled around, and women's rights, and the right to choose what happens to our bodies became our own with Roe versus Wade, and that is still a hot topic. 40 years
You're
later, in regards to the Supreme Court and state rights, and that's when I was born. So you see, so those people who won the right to vote, those women, have raised women, and those women are now voting. And those women that are voting are raising women of their own, are raising daughters. So you're seeing an evolution. It takes a few generations for things to come out. But those women who earned the right to vote, who fought for it tooth and nail, who are still being paid less than men. And let me also say, I'm not a feminist, people. I know it sounds like I am, but I'm just speaking historically. If you look at the national average in regards to different positions, women are still paid less. There was that whole argument in regards to, wasn't it the potential prime minister of Australia? She's a female. They asked her. They had the audacity to ask her if you chose to have a child while you were in the seat, that means, you know, you're going to take maternity time and things like that. They're questioning this in regards to someone's job. If that was a job interview anywhere else,
You can't ask
that would be
stuff like
illegal.
that. Right.
That would be illegal.
Exactly.
But because so we hold people, you know, of that caliber, like politics, sports, entertainment industry, we hold them all to a different standard. Yep. But the problem is that society wants to mimic that standard because they want to be keeping up with the Joneses, because they want to be thin, they want to be blonde, they want to be big boobs, they want to, you know, they want to make sure that their girl is blonde, big boobs, and you know, that they've got the best job and they're driving the fastest car and they've got the iPhone 1900 or whatever it is out, you know. That's a big problem, and social media panders to that. So we're seeing so many different things all wrapped into one. We're seeing all this historical learning and lessons from women who are raising their own women, who are having babies and raising their own. Like, I have grandchildren at 47 years old. What in the hell is that all about? I am so not supposed to have grandchildren this early. But
my son's grandmother, when he was born, my son's grandmother, when he was born, was 36 years old.
Oh,
that was his mother's mother.
I would so take a child like that over my knee. It's not even fun. If I was 36 or 37 and being a grandma, somebody's getting spanked. It's not me. But we're seeing people. Because social media has shrunk the world. Okay, where
it has completely.
Where you are, and where I am, and where my two best girlfriends live in Australia, shrunk the world to the point where we know what's going on everywhere. It's given a new platform for everybody to talk about everything, and God knows there's a lot of, and I'm just going to say there's a lot of shit that nobody should be talking about on social media. I don't want to know what you had for dinner last night, Vinny, and I don't want to know the TMI of your last date. Okay.
Right.
And you know, I don't want to, but the thing is that it's all out there. So when somebody says and blows the whistle in regards to all of these allegations of sexual misconduct, sexual abuse, sexual assault, and there's a different label for everything that's going on. What I'm really waiting to hear is the big one with Corey Feldman in regards to all the charges of the child molestation, because we all know, while we're sitting here at home watching all these fantastic movies that we all grew up loving, we know that things happened to a lot of those kids because they had to grow up too fast when they were in Hollywood. Drew Barrymore, Corey Feldman, Macaulay Culkin, you know, and God love them. They entertained us for years, and we should be supporting them and making them feel safe to say, you know what, the buck stops here with me. I'm not going to, what happened to me is not going to hold me back. It's not going to hold me down. I'm not going to be destroyed by it, and I'm not going to let it happen to anybody else. That is what we should be doing as a society, not just sitting there eating popcorn going, ooh.
No, you're right, and that's unfortunately what too many people do, is that they see this stuff coming out, and that's all they do is watch. All they care about is what's the newest TMZ story, or who's the next person going down. Now, my thought process, and I'm going to run this by you, is, now I've always grown up to the point where if something happens to you, you say something. You know, whether it's to your parents, whether it's to the cops, whether it's to, you know, a trusted advisor, whoever.
If you feel safe enough,
when you and I were growing up, you know, so many people were trusted. You know, it's like I was molested by my pediatrician. But at that point, in the late 80s, doctors were trusted. So when I told my mother that I had, every time I go to the doctors, I have to pull down my pants and then you show him my privates, and he makes me touch my privates and stuff.
Right.
It was like a running joke. It wasn't like, oh, well, let's get on the phone with the medical board. Let's call the cops. It wasn't like that back then.
Or even just let's find you a new pediatrician if you're not comfortable.
Right.
Back then,
it wasn't like that.
Right. We grew up in a very over-trusting society. You trusted the nice old lady next door. And, didn't we just read a story in the last couple of weeks about some old lady who was like taking in people, the homeless vagrants, and like serial killing them in the last like 2 to 3 weeks? There was something crazy. It's like, and she was like this nice
Wow.
little old lady. Yeah. We still were trusting everybody. There was a time when we grew up, Vinny, and that you didn't say something. I mean, when we grew up, that's when kids were getting molested by priests. That's what, you know what I mean? That's when,
Yep.
because a priest would. I grew up Catholic. If I ever came to my parents and said anything crazy like that, they would have looked at me and told me I needed to go to confession. That there was something wrong with me. Why would you even say something like that? Because it was, and for them, it was socially acceptable for a nun to physically abuse them and hit them about the head, neck, and shoulders and hands with rulers and stuff. I mean, we've evolved into protecting.
I went to a Catholic school. I got kicked by the nuns.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is we gave people, I think we gave people too much power and too much trust, and we're taking that back. In regards to the whole, allegations of what's going on, I think that because we have social media and there's a safe, neutral ground for people to make those allegations and to talk about it and to make it so that they're not, so that what they suffered in private doesn't have to be in vain. I think that's a good thing. I think that, but at the same time, it also opens up a big can of worms for people to make false allegations as well. We've all heard the, Michael Jackson stories, and he paid to keep them quiet. You know what? He may have paid to keep the negative publicity.
Breaking up.
To get it.
You're breaking up again. The last couple minutes kind of got completely cut out.
Oh, okay. But we heard.
No, it's okay. It's just probably your connection.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of allegations that could be true, could be not true, and I think the opportunity for people aren't taking the opportunity that they need to, and sit down and have a conversation with their own children, and to maybe even just create their own boundaries, saying, you know what, I'm going to build a relationship with someone at the school, someone, so that if something happens, my child can at least get in touch with me. Or, I can give my child a safe word.
Right. I think that's the key point. Is that
I want my children to always feel safe, that they can always talk to me, and I think that I've done that with my kids. They God knows they tell me things they really should not, but they've always been very comfortable in sharing things with me. I have friends that come to me and ask me, and that's part of the reason why I have the show, is that I've always been that person in the grocery line that people talk to, and I go, oh my gosh, what is written on my forehead? But I have friends that their kids come to them and say, a friend shared something with me at school, and I don't want to tell for them, but something needs to be done. And we're going to talk about sensitive topics like that, like what to do if a child or a friend comes to you and says, this is what's going on, and I don't know how to handle it. I don't know what steps to take, or if I even want to take steps. Because even though, like you said, we grew up in a time where you tell an adult, those adults don't necessarily want to believe you. It's not that they don't believe you, it's that they don't want to believe you. And they want to remain under the bubble, behind the veil, so to speak, of my life is normal, my life is fine, my life is good. And social media has created a whole goldfish bowl effect for people as well, where, they're showing the world how perfect their life is, almost, Stepford wives in a sense. 'Cause not everybody is what they post, So it's a very interesting.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that.
It's a double-edged sword out there, and I think that the allegations were. I mean, I think that not only did we have all that historical female-led empowerment since receiving the right to vote and like I said, the Roe v. Wade stuff in the 70s, but also we had entertainment that evolved. We had Prince, we had Madonna, we had people creating dinner table conversations in the 80s that should never have happened in the households of the parents that were sitting at the dinner table. My parents were considered Archie and Edith. Okay, that's what we always called them. They were much older than my friend's parents. Mom was born in 23 and Dad was born in 35. So she was the OG cougar out there. And it's her birthday today, so God, hopefully she's laughing at me in heaven, smoking a big cigarette and saying, "That damn kid." Of course she's talking crap about me. But happy birthday, Mom. I love you. But I could talk to her. I was always comfortable talking to her, but she still was very much Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis in a mindset of, well, that's just not something we talk about here, And
yep.
But those entertainment artists, Depeche Mode. I mean, I could sit here and talk about a million of them. They changed the entertainment industry. Adam Ant sang a song in 1984, 85, Strip, talking about wanting his partner to strip for him. And I remember playing it in my room and my mom asking me, what in the hell was I playing in my room? And that was not appropriate, on my vinyl album. But it was, everything has evolved socially. And when you get into that with social media, then you've got this like with Facebook, it's so strange. They initially wanted to be this for change and growth, and they've done that to a degree, but they've also become an incredible platform for censorship and judgment. And there are other social media things out there like Tumblr and Instagram and Twitter that are much less judgmental. So I mean, and when you talk about a lot of people just sitting around and watching instead of supporting, I mean, we've seen for a decade. I've been on Facebook now for a decade. I can't even believe that it's existed that long. But I've been on Facebook for a decade, and I think the entire time I've seen, or close to, at least I feel like it, you've always seen those bully fights where people are doing vids on their phone, watching people fight, or watching somebody beat some kid, or a dog fight, or some violent negative. Instead
of getting in there to stop it.
Exactly. You've got a phone in your hand. Clearly, you asshole. Dial 911 and say stop. Do the right thing.
Yeah.
I think that my show is going to encourage people to do the right thing.
They want to have their videos go viral. They want to get hits. They want to get clicks. They want to get internet popular. I mean, we see it all the time with the YouTube vloggers.
Absolutely.
It's like, now granted, there are some of them out there that are that are normal, that are doing cooking shows or
Right.
or whatever. But then you have the ones that are, like you said, taking cell phone videos of kids getting bullied. Now,
or what was that
something
girl?
that you
What
should
was
be
that girl that was on?
videotaping and recording, because in my case, you're just asking.
And then there was that girl that was on.
What was that?
There was that girl that was on what's his name, and I never even saw the interview. I've never watched her videos, but she was that. She was really, and I hate to use the term ghetto, but she was.
Oh, the one on Dr. Phil, the Cash Me Outside?
Yeah, Cash Me Outside. What school did her parents send her to?
I don't know, but I think her parents lost some kind of a.
Please tell me it wasn't a private school that they paid for, because they lost money to deal. I mean, good God.
Yeah, and then apparently she put out some kind of a rap video or something.
Right, I could tell you if that was my daughter, I would catch her outside. I'd snatch her up by her horrible weave and explain to her how she was going to behave. Because my children all understand that while I know I don't expect them to be perfect, they are an extension of me when they leave their house. And that's from the age of 2 to the age of 102. You still are representing me and my parents and my family when you walk out that door. And if you do something senseless, if you do something asinine, and it catches viral, you're going to catch Mom. My kids do definitely call me Mama Bear. So, and they have wonderful sense of humor, and they're just fantastic. But yeah, they're not always fantastic. I mean, Nicholas. Sorry, kid, I mentioned your name. Yeah, we would go to the Walmart, and he would play pranks on me. Like, we'd be in the. And let me also state for the record, since this is all audio, I am not a small person. I am a rather chunky chick. And we would walk down the frozen novelty section, and my son Nick would look at me and he would say, "Mom, don't call me fat. I'm not fat. I just want the Oreo ice cream bar." And when someone would walk the opposite way, and I would be like, "You asshole, wait till we get in the car." And he'd be like 15. He was like 15 or 16. He still does stuff, and he just turned 21. He's a hoot. But, we don't have the perfect family, and I love not being perfect. I love our imperfections. I love our flaws. I love the stories my mom used to tell. They were real. There's been some psychological studies done because of the evolution and creation of social media, in the increase in narcissism in our society today. And
absolutely.
Because of the Pavlovian,
you can see it just by the amount of people that put selfies up all the time.
Absolutely. Or as my favorite is the 4 and 5 and 6 selfie, like the collage of selfies in one post. Right. In case you haven't seen her best side or his best side, here's 6 more in case you didn't see them all. Or hey, I'm living in a house with a pool. Oh, little did you know, it's actually my best friend's parents' house that I'm living in, because
yeah, exactly.
But hey, I'm going to the pool again today because it's 86 degrees. It's all about making themselves look better and feel better. And people say, "Oh, I'm posting it because my life is happy." No, honey. If your life was happy, you wouldn't bother being on social media so often. You wouldn't.
Right.
You'd be outliving it. That's the truth of the matter. And it's not that I don't. I love social media for the positivity for it, but there's a very negative, dark end to it because, for example, I see people post quite often that they see all these people happy in relationships, things like that, but at the same time, it makes them feel bad about their personal situation. There's the Pavlovian dog theory that can be applied with the clicks and the likes and the special dings. I mean, now you've got 2 different notifications. Like if you're in a group chat on Messenger for Facebook, and you tag someone in a message, it gives you a different notification. So maybe that makes them run faster. I mean, the whole concept of messaging and texting was so that it would keep the sender from forgetting to give someone some information or a message, and that the receiver, the responder, could read it at their convenience. It was never intended to become a method of communication because you lose tone.
And unfortunately, that's what it. Yep.
And all of those
That's
things.
what it's become. It's become a lot of people's preferred form of communication, and it sucks.
Absolutely.
It's like you don't have the hour-long conversations on the phone. It's like, when you're getting to know somebody, in terms of a new relationship or starting a new relationship, 95% of the time you're texting for days on end. And yeah, you're texting for days on end, and you talk in person once a week,
right.
something like that. And it's like, where have we?
Right. Well,
I agree with you.
What is wrong with people now? Now they have another way to skirt their accountability and responsibility in breakups. I mean,
Yep.
People would prefer to break up in a text because then they can just wash their hands of it and be done with it. That's just trash, people.
Exactly.
If you're listening to me, it's trash. It's trash. If you are concerned about your own emotions,
I was broken up over text.
I was friend zoned by text the other day, and that got quickly corrected. I let them know exactly how I felt. I am single, but and that's okay. Being put in the friend zone is okay. Just don't be trash and do it via text message. Now they changed their mind, obviously, but because I don't put up with it. I don't put up with it. I might be, and you know me pretty well. I mean, I'm not shy. I get along with people fairly well, and if I'm not for you, then I might be for the next person, and that's okay. That's really okay. I mean, there's a lot of topics we're going to talk about on my show. In regards,
that's good, and
I mean, for example, we've seen a new revolution about not slut shaming. Why is it okay for men to have multiple partners or see multiple people? It's not. It's not. You can talk to people all you want, but when you start to get into a serious relationship or broach those subjects and topics that could be considered a serious relationship, everybody needs to know who's involved with who. You can't have a different person every night of the week and think that it's okay for those people not to know about each other.
Basically, you can't be Charlie Harper.
No, Charlie Harper. No. Charlie Harper's just, yeah. I mean, it's okay to be Charlie Harper for Charlie Harper, but Charlie Harper should have, and here, I'll throw everything out on the board here. Charlie Harper should have been poly. He should have been polyamorous, and he should have been open with everybody saying, look, I am polyamorous. I mean, Hef was clearly polyamorous, right?
Yep.
And that's okay. It's okay to be polyamorous, male or female. We have to make sure that if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Or as my friend Pam, who will probably listen to this, says, what's good for the goose is good for the duck. Yes, Pam, it is. So, but yeah, I mean, we're getting to a stage where things are becoming more equal.
Mm-hmm.
On the correct level, they're becoming more equal on a mental and emotional level. Physically, they're never going to be on the same level for everyone, but on a mental and emotional level, they most certainly can be. We were not created as a species to be equal on a physical level. We were created to work together in tandem. but there's now. By saying that doesn't mean I'm. And if you actually track down my real persona, I'm a very big LGBTQ supporter.
Mm-hmm.
But we were created to work together. And I'm not saying just male and female, but we were created to work as partners, whether it's male, female, female, male, female. We were created to work as a clutch, as a group, as a community. Two people can't do everything on the planet that needs to be done. So you have to branch out. There's nothing wrong with polyamory as long as everybody that's involved knows they're involved. As long as they agree to it, that's their business.
Mm-hmm.
Wow! Look at all the topics we
Reay,
already talked about.
You're right, and I wanted to just say thank you for coming on. There's so much more we can talk about, but I will let you obviously have topics for your show instead of just putting them all out there now.
Oh, don't worry.
But as soon as
the topics we look, my show is going to it's a very interesting, simple format. To be honest, we'll have a topic of discussion. We'll cover some questions because we do have Real Talk with Reay Sunshine, Real Talk with Reay at gmail.com for anonymous or questions that would like to be put through. So that's Real Talk with Reay, REYA, at gmail.com for people to send us questions or suggested topics or say, hey, we heard you on Vinny's show and we loved it. We'd love to hear more from you. Definitely check us out on Facebook, Real Talk with Reay. We have a page as well as a closed
and I'll
group.
go ahead and share those links myself.
Awesome, thank you. We do have a closed group for conversation as well.
And I just... What was that?
We have a closed group as well for topics and conversation.
Okay. Absolutely, and I will share all of those not only through the Sportswire Facebook page, but also through the Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network Facebook page as well. Reay, I want to thank you for coming on. I look forward to listening to the show and possibly being involved in some of the shows as well.
Love that.
And as soon as we find out your debut episode, we'll let everybody know.
Absolutely, Vinny. Thank you so much. Our debut episode is actually going to be Social Media Etiquette 101, when to send a dick pic and when not. So that should be that should be hysterical and fun and lively. And please send in questions, comments to realtalkwithreay@gmail.com or onto our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for having me on, Vinny. I appreciate it. And thank you for all of your support. You're wonderful. I appreciate everything you do.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Reay. Again, if you wanted to send questions to her, that's Real Talk with Reay, REYA, @gmail.com, and definitely like their page on Facebook, Real Talk with Reay. Again, Reay Sunshine, thank you very much, and we will be talking to you soon. Again, this is Vinny Apicella sitting with Reay Sunshine, one of our newest hosts here on Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network, and we'll talk to you later on. All right, so that was our great interview with our newest podcast host here on Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network, Reay Sunshine. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did, and I learned a lot just listening to her. And like I said, going forward, we're probably going to do some collaborations on podcasts. But I honestly feel that her show is going to be a fantastic show. So tune in. I'm not sure when she's going to start dropping it. She wanted to get started this week, but maybe after the holidays. I'm not sure. I'll find out from her. But as soon as I do, I will let you all know, and we'll post something up on the Sportswire and Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network Facebook pages. As always, if you're for Facebook, go ahead and like us, facebook.com/SportswireCT. That is the Sportswire website, or Sportswire Facebook page, I should say. For Blacklight Entertainment and Sports Network, it's facebook.com/BLES Network, SWE. So go ahead and check that out and go like that as well, because we're going to be doing a lot more going in the coming months with all this stuff. So that's all there is to it. But I just want to say thank you for listening, and Sportswire will be back and better than ever next Tuesday. We will drop at 10 a.m. Before that, we'll record it. But hopefully we can get some more interviews in and all that. So Weekly Rant will come back next week when I get back to a full a full show myself. But you know what? Either way, we'll see you next week here on the Sportswire. Have a great week. I hope you have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And instead of ending the show with Cult of Personality like I have been, I'm going to end it with something a little different, a little Christmassy tune for you. So, and then we'll be back here before New Year's, of course. So, Merry Christmas to one and all. And we'll see you all next week here on the Sportswire. Have a great night, everybody.
City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, girls with hair out to there. They got trees on the poles in East Haven.
What are you talking about?
Guys named Vinny got the skinny on what suits they should wear. Hey, it's a money. And above all the Camaros, you hear silver bells, all those smells.
It's eternity.
It's Christmas time in East Haven. All that gold getting old. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Cousin Lori's got a story that she can't wait to tell. So she talks on the phone to Gina. Bobby's cheating, he needs a beat, 'cause he stole Louie's girl. And above all the cursing, you hear silver bells, hair all gelled. It's Christmas time in East Haven. Ring-a-ling, bada-bing, what'd you bring? I brought my Peugeot, okay? Hey! Soon it will be Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Mikey's booking, Mom is cooking, Christmas Eve with the fish, as we're all getting ready for dinner. Christmas shopping, the place is hopping, trying to find one more gift. And above all the bustle, you hear silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in East Haven. I'm a family man, you understand? Soon it will be Christmas Day. Hey, have a good Christmas, okay? Do the right thing. All right.